Hello and welcome to this episode of The People Behind Your Water. I'm Marty Grimes from Santa Clara Valley Water District, and today I'm joined by a new person behind your water, my colleague Colleen Bias.
Hi Marty, I'm glad to be here.
Great, and you've been with us for about 3 months now?
That's right, three glorious months.
3 months. Okay, great. Well, we're happy to have you here, and we're happy that you've been able to interview one of our staff about the water use reductions that we've achieved here on our campus on the Water District's own property. So tell us about what you're going to be showing us.
Well, we talked to Jen Codianne, a senior field operations administrator here at the Water District, and she showed us the high-tech and low-tech ways that the Water District has been achieving water savings over the last few years. And it's interesting to note that in the last couple years, since 2013, we've saved more than 30% of our water.
And that's I think a really great achievement. This year, as hopefully everybody knows, our goal is to reduce water by 30% in 2015, but we achieved that in 2014. And I think it's notable that our water district facilities, we don't have a lot of turf. We have barely anything other than low water use landscaping, drought tolerant plantings. Yet by reducing the watering schedule and doing some changes to the irrigation system, we were able to achieve more than 30%.
Yeah, that's true. We didn't have really any low-hanging fruit, but through careful planning and monitoring of the system, through upgrades to, for instance, drip irrigation, and through the reapplication of mulch, for instance, we've been able to save that much water.
And just walking around the campus, it still looks pretty good. It's interesting to note that in a drought, it is the drought-tolerant landscapes that look the best.
That is true. And the landscape here is either drought tolerant or low water using. So some of the plants do require a little bit of water, but the drought tolerant plants don't require any. They haven't been watered in years.
Wow. Okay. Well, let's get out and see what Jen has to show us.
Hi, my name is Colleen Bias, and I'm here with Jen Codianne, a senior field operations administrator with the Santa Clara Valley Water District. We are here today to talk to Jen a little bit about what she does for the Water District and for our landscape here on the campus.
Hi, so I'm currently supervising staff that oversees the native plant restoration projects that we do here and other vegetation control activities, and I direct and oversee the landscape maintenance contract here at the district.
Great, thanks Jen. So we are in our 4th year of drought, and the Water District has taken steps to decrease water usage here at this facility and at our other facilities. Can you tell us a little bit about some of the things that we've done in the past year to 2 years?
Sure. First off, what we did was we went around and did an audit and shut off everything that didn't need to be watering, capped certain sprinkler heads. We also started a project to replace the old sprinklers with a Netafim drip system, which is more water conserving. We laid new layers of mulch down in all the landscaped areas to help to retain the soil moisture. And we managed to actually reduce water usage by 26% in the calendar year 2014.
Well, that's great because our board called for a 20% reduction in 2014. They've since upped it to 30%. So how are we doing toward meeting that goal?
So we are finishing the rest of the drip installation. We're extending it to cover the whole campus. So we hope to meet that 30% plus more reduction for this next year.
Okay, great. So we're here by some controllers. Can you tell us what they are?
Sure. We have used here on campus Calsense controllers since 1998. They're smart controllers that are weather-based and take into consideration the weather, the rain, and the evapotranspiration rates here to redirect all of the stations to water appropriately on a daily basis.
Great. Can you show us some?
Sure.
Great.
So here we are. We have 4 controllers here. On the entire campus, I believe we have 7 Calsense controllers at this point in time.
Great. So can you explain to us what we're looking at here?
So this is the ET2000E controller that Calsense makes, and again, it is a smart controller that is weather-based and uses the ET and rain data to adjust the stationing run times on a daily basis.
Okay, and what's it telling us right now?
Currently, it's telling us that the irrigation is off because at this point in time, we still have not turned irrigation on for this year. From January up until now, we've only actually used 355 gallons of irrigation on campus, and that was mainly the couple hot weeks that we really had. I think it was back in February. So currently, the controller is not telling us much.
And when do you think we'll turn the irrigation on?
Probably pretty soon. I was probably thinking next week, but since we did have that bit of rain the other day, hopefully we'll wait another 2 weeks.
Okay, great. So Jen, we're in the middle of the parking lot. Can you tell us what we're doing here and what are we looking at?
Sure. We're looking at our landscape element called the biosoils that were designed throughout the entire length of the parking lot to capture the surface water from the parking lot and to help to filter the pollutants out before the surface water enters our groundwater table.
Great. So Jen, when did these bioswales go in?
Sure. So the bioswales actually were designed when our new headquarters building was built in 1998.
Okay, and so they've been working since then.
They have. We have to clean them out on an annual basis because, of course, debris get trapped in them. But yes, they work very well.
Okay, thank you. We're in front of some really lovely vegetation here and some piping. Can you tell us a little bit about what is going on down here?
Sure, yeah. So this is a great example of a water efficient landscape, and here's the Netafim drip installation that we were talking about that we're currently doing all over the campus. It allows us to deliver a low volume of irrigation to very precise locations within the plant's root zone area.
Now, these are not necessarily native plants, correct?
No, they're not. They're water efficient plants, and we do use native and non-native plants throughout the campus. The goal here is for everything to be water efficient, and the native plants are also drought tolerant.
And what is the benefit of having drip irrigation?
Sure. So basically, the drip irrigation allows us to just water the plants in the root zone area and not water the entire surface of the ground like sprinkler or overhead irrigation does. So it allows us to use much less water.
Great, thanks. So the district has changed out some of the plants here from the original ones that were planted when the building was built. Can you tell us a little bit about what we're seeing here and how long that process has taken?
Sure, yeah. It's been about a 10-year process that we've been intentionally changing the plants out, the original plants, and putting in more water-efficient landscape. We're standing in an area here where was one of the first test areas for changing to this water-efficient landscaping. So everything here is quite mature.
Great. And are these irrigated with drip irrigation as well, or are they left to fend for themselves?
So currently, this area has been changed out to drip irrigation, and obviously this area is not irrigated as much as the other areas.
Great. And what are some of the plants that are around here?
Sure. So let's see, we have in the background here New Zealand tea trees, which are a water efficient plant that hails from New Zealand. In the back here, we have the echium, which is actually a California native plant. It's not native to this county, but it is native to California. And what else do we have? In the foreground here, we have strawberry trees, which produce a really pretty strawberry-like fruit, and they're a plant that we like to use around campus.
Is it edible?
It is actually. Oh, really? Yeah.
Is it tasty?
No.
And what are we looking at over here?
Over there we have some carpet roses, some more New Zealand tea trees, and some artemisia, and another strawberry tree. And above us we have Chinese elms, which were part of the original landscape design.
Great, thanks. So we're out by the recharge pond, and around here we have a lot of native plants. Can you tell me a little bit about if these were planted by us or how they got here and why they're here?
Yes, they were planted by us. We planted these in 1998. They extend around the labyrinth here, and then of course around the entire recharge pond. And we also did a section along the Guadalupe River, which is in the background here. And we have had these off of irrigation for, gosh, I want to say it's been about 15 years now.
Wow, so you just had to water them to get them established, and then once they're established, they're good to go.
Yep, pretty much. I can't remember if it was a 3 to 4 year period that we watered them, but they've been off irrigation ever since.
Great. Jen, so why don't you point out some of the plants that we have here around the recharge pond?
This is a toyon. This is a large shrub that produces these bright red berries that are used for both decoration and also the native wildlife. Here we have a sticky monkey flower. And in the background, we have a Chilean aster and California roses that are flowering underneath the tree there.
So Jen, normally when I think of native trees, I think of oak trees or in the Santa Cruz Mountains, redwood trees. But there's a wide variety of native trees that people can plant. What do we have here?
Sure. Here we have the native western sycamore. And across the way there we have two types of native cottonwoods, the Fremont cottonwood and the black cottonwood that are planted around the ponds here. We also have two types of willows, the red willow and the arroyo willow, which you'll see if you walk around the landscape here at the pond.
Great, thanks. Jen, we've seen the controllers and we've seen the vegetation. How do you manage the irrigation? How do you know what's going on here?
So we have a smart controller here, as we talked about, Calsense, that takes into consideration how much rain we've received. We have a rain bucket on top of one of the buildings, and the system is actually programmed to shut down after it receives a specific amount of rain in a 24-hour period. And we also have the ET gauge, which measures the evapotranspiration rate on a daily basis that allows the controller to adjust its watering times based on that ET rate.
So tell me a little bit about the flow meters and how they fit into the system.
So we have flow meters here on campus where the Calsense controller reads the flow rates. Each station is programmed to accept a certain flow rate. And once the station goes over that flow rate, it alerts the system. I can literally look at the alerts from my computer and see what stations need adjusting dependent on if they have a high flow rate or if they have a low flow rate or no flow rate at all. I know that there's something wrong and it needs to be investigated. The flow meters also help to shut down the system. It alerts it if there's a break in the laterals or the main lines. It will alert the system and shut down the controller.
Okay, and the flow rate is how much water is flowing through the irrigation system.
Yes, and basically when we first set up all these controllers, we set up the stations by hand to let it know what type of plants were in each station and what we consider an acceptable flow rate. So we basically have mandated what it should be, and then the system uses the ET to adjust that. And then in addition, this last year, since we knew we wanted to meet the 20% reduction, I plugged that into the controllers and told them that no matter what you think, I want you to reduce the water usage by 20%.
And that's been very successful.
That has been with other aspects too, yes.
So this is the people behind your water. So we like to find out a little bit about the people who are behind our water. So Jen, how long have you been with the district and what did you start out doing here?
So I've been here since 2002. I actually started here as an assistant surveyor. And in 2004, I accepted the job as a vegetation program specialist. And it was then that I started managing the landscape contract and really doing a lot of the technical work behind the native plant restoration and mitigation projects that we have here at the district. And most recently, I accepted the senior field operations administrator position in vegetation management.
And what are some of the things that you really enjoy about your job?
I love being outdoors when I get to be, which is rarely these days. But I just like knowing that I'm helping to restore the environment that we have here.
So Jen, we've made a lot of cuts in our water usage here at the district, and we've seen a lot of beautiful low water using plants, but we don't know how long the drought's going to continue. So what could our landscape look like in the next few years if it does continue?
That's a good question. We've discussed that here. At this time, we're going to be continuing to reduce our water usage. And at some point in time, if the drought does continue, we need to consider maybe, converting to a drought-tolerant landscape using native plants.
So replacing some of the low water using plants that aren't native to here with completely native California plants.
That would be probably the next step, yes.
Okay. And what kind of change in the landscape would that mean for people? Like, what would they see? Maybe less showy flowers, that kind of thing?
Yes. Less showy flowers and, of course, the native plants, because they are drought tolerant, during the summer months, the way they cope is to basically, lose their leaves or brown out a bit. So they're not always as attractive as the other water efficient plants. So that's something that we would see if we did change over to the drought tolerant landscape, is a more browning out during the summer.
But not necessarily all cactus.
No. No cactus.
Thanks. We're here at Jen's office, where she's going to show us how she works the controllers for the irrigation system from her desk. Jen, take us through what you do to work the irrigation system.
Sure. So this is kind of the main page here where you can see all of the controllers that I can access from the computer system here. And so we can select, this was the controller that we actually opened. We can select that controller, and we can ask for the program data for that controller, and it's actually calling the controller right now to tell us what the program data is. We can actually get the alerts here for the controller too, but since the controllers aren't actually on at this time, there's no alerts since we're still not watering.
And those alerts will tell you if there's a leak or something like that?
Yeah, it tells us for each station whether there's no flow, a high flow, or a low flow, or just the regular flow. Because again, each station knows exactly what its flow limits should be.
Okay.
And so those alerts I'm actually can pull and then send directly to our landscape maintenance contractor, who will, addresses those issues right away.
Okay, and then on the left there's a list of all the controllers in the system?
Yes.
Okay.
So here we go. It actually pulled up the controller, and now it shows you all the programs and the run times. If we go to this page here, we have all the stations, and of course it's no flow because the controller is off at this point in time. We can also pull water reports for each controller. So here we have this one. We'll pull it for the last 3 months. And of course, there's no water being put out since the controllers have been off for most of the calendar year. So this is just a way that we can access all the information we have and really keep control over the irrigation systems.
Okay, thank you.
So there you have it. That's how we are able to reduce water use here at the Water District on our own facilities. We don't know when the drought's going to end. 2015, we know that the snowpack is 2% of normal, so we're not going to get a lot of runoff into the big reservoirs that serve our county. So it's definitely essential that everyone do everything they can to reduce their water use, so we'll have enough for the future. And the good news is that the Water District has programs to help. Some of the things that you saw Jen showing you, we have rebates to help residents and businesses to do the same thing.
That's right, Marty. We do have rebates, $2 a square foot for removing your water guzzling landscape and replacing it with a water sipping one. We also have rebates for certain irrigation equipment, and people can just go onto valleywater.org and click on rebates and check out what's available to them.
And I know those programs have been really popular, and because they've been increased this year, now's the best time to take advantage of those programs. So that's what we have for you this month. Keep saving water. Please find us on Facebook and Twitter and sign up for our e-newsletter and keep in touch, and we'll do everything we can to let you know what's going on with the drought and help you to save water. Thanks for joining us.